I just got remembered I had a very, very strange dream that you were in last night. I dreamt that we were in a big warehousey kind of place in London. It was all black and there were 800 people there, and it was our event. And all the speakers had been absolutely terrible. I was itching to get on stage and get the audience going because the audience was chatting amongst itself. It was so bored. You were on stage doing the emceeing. Now, I was about to say a more unlikely event I can't imagine, except that you did used to go on stage and do the emceeing.
I do like a bit of emceeing, it would have to be said. And if you give me a microphone, it's quite hard work for you to take it away from me. But do you remember? Because we had that man from Homes Under the Hammer, and he also didn't want to get off stage in the microphone. And in the end, I had to say to him, thanks very much. What's his name?
Oh, the little camp one. I can't remember.
Yeah, but he's married apparently, because I told a friend who's an air hostess that he was gay as a bandolero, and he's not. Anyway, I had to say to him something like, "Thanks very much. You could leave the stage now," because he was grabbing my limelight.
Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show. Morning.
Morning.
Now, I've got a big question for you. Are my cicadas too loud?
I don't think nature's noises can ever be too loud.
Okay, fair enough. So if we get complaints, then that's what we'll do.
It's no noisier than the birds. Birds are very noisy, but not in a bad way. Again.
No. Okay, good. I could go around and close everything, but
it's only Audible that's complained, isn't it, about nature?
Yes, that's true. And they have complained once more as well.
Have they? The listeners have never complained about nature. We all love nature.
That's true. Well, we've got birdies and cicadas now.
Good.
And I saw a gecko running across my balcony a minute ago as well. So that was rather
They're a bit quiet though, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They don't make a lot of noise.
No, they don't. They're not really podcast guests.
No, they don't really contribute much to the conversation.
No, they don't. No. Do they make you go eek, or are you all right with the gecko?
No, I'm all right. We've got one that lives in the rafters, and I just think he's up there eating insects, and so he's quite welcome to stay.
I'm going to talk about something that I think and hope eats insects today. Anyway, tell me about your week.
Well, it's been a busy yet sunny yet swimmy week. Live music at Potamaki's on Saturday night, and it was a bouzouki player, a violinist, and a singer who was very good. Was it a violinist? I can't remember the third instrument. And the best bit was that all the guests got up and danced, and they were all Greek, and they knew the dance steps. So there were several different dances for different kinds of music, and there was one table of 12 where everyone from the granny down to the teenage boy who was about 14 just got up and danced in formation in doing the proper steps. They must learn these steps at school or something.
Well, we used to.
Yes, I know. It was a bit like country dancing.
Yes, exactly. We used to learn steps of dancing. I don't think that happens anymore, does it?
But the nice thing was, this kid had long shorts and a sort of sweat thing that he'd cut up, and in England he'd have been hanging his head and going, "Oh, do I have to?"
Yeah.
But he just got up with no surliness or reluctance at all, or embarrassment, and just danced with the family. It was fantastic.
That's how lovely. Yeah. And actually, in the Greek culture, dancing like that's quite macho.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all do it quite unreservedly.
Exactly. Nice.
Potamaki's is a restaurant's been taken over by Pascali and Venna. And Venna used to apparently be a top supermodel in Athens. And she was voted apparently one of the most beautiful women in Greece at one point. She's got a little more homely since she's been...
I was going to say, can you tell that by looking at her?
No. She's been working in the kitchens at Pascali's various establishments. And I think it's worn her down a bit.
Yeah, that'll do it to you every time, won't it?
But it's interesting. I popped around. A friend of mine, Mike's very friendly with them. And they do... Well, Pascali speaks very good English. Venna understands more than she can speak. But a friend of mine, Mike, asked me to go and help them with their Facebook page because they didn't have one. They were using Pascali's profile for everything, which was limiting what you could do. And he said, "Oh, would you just pop in?" So we made an appointment, and I popped in on the way to the beach. And the thing is, you know how you sit down with some people and you can immediately tell their innate intelligence, even if your language is not very sympathetic. You can look people in the eye, can't you? And you can see that they're getting it.
Well, he's kind of got to be into it and pay attention a bit rather than be surly and unwilling, I think.
Yeah. And he actually called Venna to come and set up the page from mobile, because we were both struggling because his app hadn't been updated and it looked different to my mobile app, and he didn't have a laptop and I hadn't bought mine. So, he had to give her a shout because apparently she's the Facebook page setting up expert.
Okay, good.
So that was really good, and I really enjoyed that. And that was pretty. What else have I done? I've been swimming a lot. Every day I've been hurling myself down the beach and into the water, even if it was like 5 p.m. for a couple of hours. And I feel much better for it, much physically healthier.
All right, I have 2 questions to ask. Is it Potomackies? How do you spell that?
Potomaki.
Oh, that's exactly what I've written. And when you go along there to help them with something like that, are you in credit for a couple of ouzos for a while?
Oh, yeah, definitely, yes. They've got a very fine white wine there, which I enjoy, honestly. So.
Okay. A Greek white wine?
Yes, it is. And we've... Oh, hang on. You're going to ask me the grape now, aren't you?
No, I'm not going to ask you the grape. It's just I quite like a Greek white wine sometimes because it tastes... I quite like ouzo, actually. I'm a bit weird like that. Yeah. No, not ouzo. Retsina, I like.
Ah, well, this is much better than Retsina. It's Moscoufilo is the grape.
Okay.
But I can't pronounce it, but I could give you a
No, I really don't think it's that important, but stand by in case anybody asks in the Facebook group.
It's like a light, crisp Sauvignon Blanc come Chenin Blanc, and it's very nice. I like it a lot.
Okay.
Bit too much, really.
I was going to say, but to be honest, you'd quaff anything as long as it was drinkable, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I do have some standards, though.
Well, I think if you were parched, even they'd be stretched.
Yes, quite. What about your week, then?
I should warn you so that we can manage the time well, that the majority of my news is in these first 2 sections before focus. Okay. I do have something this week to contribute in everything, but if you would not rush me through the social sections, these are my main contributions, as I don't work very much anymore. So I had my first full start with Airtasker this week.
Oh.
A cleaner who was booked for last Friday asked me if she could come at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I got up at 10 to 7 so that I was ready for her. And then she didn't show at all, and didn't answer. And a man rang and we rescheduled it for Monday morning between 11 and 12. And then she didn't turn up until 4:30. Oh, but when I was quite grumpy and nearly cancelled her, and I think I left a sort of nearly tearful message saying, I've got to have my place cleaned. Anyway, when she turned up, she was a lovely girl and she was from Brazil. She had braces on her teeth. She was a little thing, and she'd had an awful 2 days where she'd lost her SIM card and she'd lost her charger and she'd had to get a new phone and all this sort of thing, and they are lifelines to cleaners. Without that, you can't manage anything at all, really, because it shows you how to get there and it enables you to communicate with your client when you're going to be late or not. So anyway, she was lovely. She asked me for the Wi-Fi code. She plugged in a new SIM card. She plugged in a new charger, and off she went like a whirling dervish. And she did a marvellous job, and I've invited her to come back at the end of my stay here, which is in 2 weeks' time, to clean it up before the Stoupa lady comes back. And I was out. It was one of the few days this week where I've had to water the garden. So I was out watering the garden, and I came in and I said to her, do you like to cook? And she said yes. And I said, well, before you go, you must go in the garden and help yourself to all those herbs that I'm watering. And a little face lit up like it was just the most, delicious treat. And then her boyfriend arrived in a van to collect her at 7 o'clock, and it was all just lovely, really. Then the next morning, you remember my mosquito incident in the first week? I had cause to discuss with my next door neighbour. Well, on Tuesday I woke up and there was an infestation of 12 wasps in my bedroom.
Oh.
Which I had to shepherd out of the window in sort of 1s and 2s. And no sooner do you get back into bed and you think, oh, there's still another one in here. And I don't like wasps. I don't know about you.
No, God, no.
And my client, Sam, who listens to this intermittently, if you're listening, Sam, hello, she says wasps have got no use on God's earth. And I think she might be right. What do wasps do?
I don't know.
No.
They might turn things into paper.
I think they might eat, like your gecko, I think they might eat other things. But actually, bees, if they accidentally occasionally sting you, which is rare, we know what bees are doing. They're pollinating everything. What are wasps doing?
I don't know. We'll have to look it up on Google.
They're just stinging people. I think we've looked it up before. I think Sam and I have had a funny exchange on Facebook where somebody wrote an article with a picture and said, there's no such thing. Wasps don't contribute anything interesting at all. However, you may call me the Wasp Whisperer because I managed to get these wasps all out of my bedroom. And when I got back, I went on a trip on Tuesday. When I got back, the same mosquito neighbour was there. And I went, oh, now, have you got a wasp infestation? And he pretended that he hadn't. And so I said, oh, sorry that the only 2 conversations we've had have been about insects. But he was clearly getting home from work with his jacket off, having got off the train and not really in the mood to discuss more insects with Judith. Anyway, that trip out that day, Tuesday, I went to visit my friend Catherine, who I don't know if you can remember, on Christmas Day the year before last wasn't very well, and then we discovered by the end of January she'd got, well, probably, at what looked at that stage like life-ending cancer.
Oh, God.
She's been through 1 round of chemo and everybody was very pleased, and now she's having a 2nd round of chemo. And I went to see her they've got 2 homes. Do you remember me telling you that the buyer, they had to pull out because of her health. They had to pull out of buying their dream home in Wiltshire.
I do remember.
And the man who lost out came forward and bought it. Do you remember?
Yes, I do remember.
Yeah, like a miracle. Anyway, they bought another house down there and they've sold their big house in London and moved into a smaller one. And she's clearly, her contribution financially to their married life, interesting, going back to the Caitlin Moran episode, has been buying and selling up property outside of the ones that they live in. Yeah. And she's clearly not only very talented at that now in terms of how it looks, but skilled. She taught me things about building regulations and how they limit the amount of glass / windows you're allowed to have, and how she can horse trade with with a building inspector about, if I give up that skylight, can I have this here and all that? Anyway, she looked lovely, she's looking well, she's feeling well. We had a lovely peaceful afternoon just talking and looking at their new house. And it's so nice when you're self-employed that when somebody like that in that situation says, come over on Tuesday afternoon, you can just clear your diary and go.
Yeah. Yes, it's freedom, isn't it? Freedom of choice
and to do important things, to be there at important times for people,
Yeah.
I don't know if she'll be with me. I'll die sooner than her, or she'll die sooner than me. But, we don't want to regret missed opportunities, do we?
No, we don't.
Anyway, didn't have to this week, which is rather good.
Well,
and the other exciting thing this week is I got to the salon that's run by Sue, the wife of Harry, that I took from hairdresser to bookkeeper. And although she was away on holiday and I was with her assistant, Caitlin, this was yesterday morning, the pedicure was so good I stayed for a manicure as well. And in there hangs a tail, which there was sort of half an hour between the appointments because she wasn't expecting me to want to have a manicure. And I had to go and move my car because it was parked, it would have been parked illegally, make an important phone call and get a cup of coffee next door in an Italian deli coffee shop sandwich bar, which looked as though it should be quite nice, but despite being Italian, the coffee was vile.
Sure.
And I thought, well, I haven't had any breakfast because I wasn't expecting to be out of the house so long. So I looked at their board and it had a long list of, everything you could imagine. I thought, well, what's the nearest to breakfast? And I'll go for an egg sandwich. And it said egg mayonnaise and mustard cress.
Oh, egg and cress then.
Right. And when it was delivered, the Italian girl, who was probably new, delivered egg mayonnaise and mustard.
Ah.
Now, we don't normally say mustard cress. We say egg and cress, don't we? But it is called mustard cress. And she must have thought British people are very weird that they have mustard on their egg mayonnaise sandwiches. And do you know what? I don't even like mustard.
Oh, I do. I love it.
On an egg mayonnaise sandwich?
I'd eat it on anything.
Would you? Oh, that's good. Well, I ate it anyway because I didn't have time and I wasn't in the mood for making a scene. I just thought it was funny, actually. It struck me as funny. And then the last thing in this section is that I've got a hairdresser coming this afternoon. And when I Googled home visiting hairdressers where I'm living, my old hairdresser came up, the one that used to visit me in Streatham Hill. So she's coming back.
Oh, brilliant.
Isn't that brilliant? Yeah, I know. Isn't that fun? So if this week is anything to go by, I've got a new routine to my week and it goes like this. Frantic Monday. Oh, Monday. I can't remember when I last worked so hard. Peaceful Tuesday, self-care Wednesday, long Thursday. So today I've got all morning with you, recording and then show noting. This afternoon I've got 3 clients and a hairdresser. And tomorrow is called Free Friday because that's the day I have off technically. So Frantic Monday, Peaceful Tuesday, self-care Wednesday, long Thursday and Free Friday. That's quite nice in a funny sort of a way.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so why was your Monday so frantic then?
Well, I'll tell you about that later, actually, because my financial community got me involved in a new download, which we all then enjoyed so much we were using it. I'll tell you that in What's Impressed at the end.
All right.
It was just one of those days as well, where actually at one point I was talking to people on 4 different platforms simultaneously. And then can we have a chat? So a lot of people, can we have a chat? Is that kind of, it's like, oh God, I felt that old adrenaline I haven't felt. I felt the old adrenaline, the old Judith I haven't felt for, I don't know, years, actually, to be honest. And to be honest, I don't want too many frantic Mondays or frantic any days.
I just got remembered I had a very, very strange dream that you were in last night. I dreamt that we were in a big warehousey kind of place in London. It was all black and there were 800 people there and it was our event. Oh. And it had a video wall down. You know how if you had 800 people in a room, there'd be quite a long wall. And there was a video wall down one wall, which was absolutely amazing because it responded to whatever the speakers put on. But actually, in my dream, all the speakers have been absolutely terrible. And I was itching to get on stage and get the audience going because the audience was chatting amongst itself. It was so bored. And there was one speaker coming up who promised me he was going to be good, but his name was Adam Franklin, and he's actually a really good digital agency owner who I've interviewed once. And he made quite an impression because I saw him again in Vegas. And he was wearing a full tan suit with a tan tie and a tan shirt. And I remember looking at him and thinking, oh, Judith won't like that outfit at all.
Why? Because beige is blah.
Well, yeah, and also because you were on stage doing the emceeing. Now, I was about to say a more unlikely event I can't imagine, except that you did used to go on stage and do the emceeing.
I do like a bit of emceeing, it would have to be said. And if you give me a microphone, it's quite hard work for you to take it away from me. But do you remember? Because we had that man from Homes Under the Hammer, and he also didn't want to get off stage in the microphone. And in the end, I had to say to him, thanks very much. What's his name?
Oh, the little camp one. I can't remember.
Yeah, but he's married apparently, because I told a friend who's an air hostess that he was gay as a bandolero, and he's not. Anyway, I had to say to him something like, "Thanks very much. You could leave the stage now," because he was grabbing my limelight. Anyway, one more thing on this point. Yes, your dream of the 800 people in the darkened room, that could be podcast live. Own it, the podcast live.
Oh my God, would you even consider such a thing?
Global get together with all of our listeners. Yes.
I was thinking
once, and not now, not even in the foreseeable future. Let's build a decent audience, and then let's have Own It, the podcast live.
Oh God, that'd be so funny.
It would be fun.
Well, I'm not sure about that.
I think I've had rather too much caffeine this morning. Let's go on to what's fueled your fire.
Well, okay, yes, absolutely. You sound like you have. I've only had one, so I can't keep up.
And mine was one, but it was quite a whopper.
Yes. What's fueled my fire this week has been that I suddenly had this brainwave, and I can't actually, to be honest, remember if it was me or Sarah that had it, about how to monetise Stoupa Life.
Well, it was me. You gave me the idea for free last week, and I wasn't very enthusiastic, so you grabbed it and ran with it yourself.
Oh, yes, it must have been. It must have been churning around in my subconscious after that.
Yeah.
Your T-shirt.
You kept saying, get T-shirts and put your slogans on it. And I went, not really. It wasn't that it was a bad idea. It's just, it was a bad idea for me at this time in my career. Yeah.
Anyway, so I was sitting on the beach, I think it was Sunday, and I suddenly thought, oh my God, if I put a hashtag in front of Stoupa Life and start using that all the time and set up an Instagram account, and then I could sell Stoupa Life T-shirts and merch as it's known.
I have to tell you, Nicola, that I've made the title of Focus of the Week, merch. Because I know that's what you're going to talk to us about.
Yeah. So Sarah recommended me to a T-shirt company, a print-on-demand T-shirt company she'd come across, and the reason she liked them was it was all organic and recycled. But I swiftly got sick of their lack of choice of colours and their lack of, the fact they only do T-shirts and hoodies and that's it really. So I then went looking, and I remember I'd actually spoken to someone on Superfast Business Forum about this whole thing, because there's a friend of ours who's incidentally out here at the moment, and her husband, Johnny, is a fantastic photographer. And I was finding out for him how he could possibly sell limited edition prints and canvases of his work. And so I had all the research tucked away in a folder somewhere. And,
now, before you go on, you're not going to tell me too much about this in this section, are you?
No, but I was.
It's our focus, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So well, it will swiftly lead into it. So suffice to say that the idea of monetising, even in a little way, the time I put into Stoupa Life group might, that's...
Well, I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant. I have a little bit of feedback to offer.
Go on then.
And I know you won't care because I'm not your ideal client, but it wouldn't let me look at the merchandise without giving you my email. So I haven't been able to see the merchandise. So I want to give you my email.
Well, really?
I don't want to have to do that for anything I buy online until I've made up my mind, and then I buy it and then you automatically get it. I know what you're doing, I get it, but I can't see the merch.
The problem is that, well, we'll go into this in more detail.
Yes. Okay.
There is a problem.
Yeah.
I have to get your email first. And if you're not willing to give it to me, you're not my ideal customer.
No, I know. I'm saying I'm not your ideal customer, are you? Of course, are you? But I can't even, out of curiosity, look at the merch and recommend it to friends because I have to give you my email address. That's not what I do anymore.
No Stoupa Life hoodies for you, madam.
No.
What's Fuel Jawfire then?
Have you finished?
Yes.
Yeah, so yours is a brainwave.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Mine is a letter from America, which flooded in via email, as letters tend to flood in these days. And it said, "I'm no longer receiving your weekly chat and I miss you. Are you not doing that anymore? I read your book and I've learned so much from you. Please let me know you are well. If somehow my email has dropped from your list, would you please reinstate so that I can continue to enjoy your Friday letters? I'm grateful for all that you do." I explained to her that I'd sent my last one in March and she went back, disappointing for me, but certainly understandable. You had a long run with the newsletters and I loved your weekly chat. I'll miss you and I hope to hear from you again. I would have loved to have had the benefit of your coaching. You and I are about the same age and an ocean and land mass apart. I've just started a new endeavor that I call Angel Warriors. These are based on 10 oil paintings I created at the beginning of this year. I would like to send you a set of Angel Warrior greeting cards in appreciation for your dedication to your readers and to your cheery goodwill and sensibilities. Do you have a postal address I can send them to? I'm in Colorado, USA, and have not sent out of the country yet. I hope to with my new Etsy shop. And she tells me a bit about her Etsy shop. I finally reached my goal of having products to sell on Etsy. I've been a commissioned artist for 4 decades, and all of my work was sold before I created it. If you are interested to see what I'm doing, I'd love to hear from you. The link is etsy.com/shop/Angel Warriors shop. I wish you success and happiness in your new life. And I told her that in reply that where I was going to be next, where I was going to be there long enough that she could send me something from America. And I told her that I thought I was an angel warrior, but spell check converted it to angel warrior, which I thought was very funny. But I managed to see it in time, which was good. But I'm certainly not an angel warrior. It's most certainly not true. But I love the idea of an angel warrior, and she agreed with me, which is very kind of her. So, strangers missing the newsletter and wanting to send me presents has fueled my fire.
What's her name of her shop, though? Because I've just typed in
Etsy.com/shop/Angel Warriors, plural, shop.
Oh, yes, I see.
Yeah.
See, that is a worry that the Etsy search thing is so bad, isn't it?
Well, no, you'd normally have a link, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I'll give you a link. Anyway, there you go. She's sending me some free Angel Warrior.
Her stuff is rather beautiful.
Yes, isn't it?
Yes, very nice.
But it must be, of course, because she's a commissioned artist for 4 decades, which means people pay her for her work before she creates it.
Yeah, very nice.
Well, brilliant. And that's her own project that she created 10 oil paintings at the beginning of this year. And then she's turned it into a product and got it on Etsy.
Yes, which leads us nicely.
It does, to merch, which is one of my favourite words, by the way.
Yeah,
go.
I know. Isn't this amazing that see, this is exactly the point, isn't it? That people who are artistic, artists and photographers, at top of my list here, craftspeople, influencers, groups and brands can all start creating their own merchandise. Now, I've been doing quite a lot of, but before I go into what I've been up to this week, I want to send you to another link, which is, he gives this one out, which is www.unikos.etsy.com.
No, slow. Uni what?
UNIKOS.
.com.
No, .etsy.com.
.etsy.com.
So she must be Angel Warriors Shop.etsy.com.
Well, I don't know. She gave me a different link. Okay.
Okay. Well, anyway, so he creates. He's a local.
Oh, you've mentioned him before.
He creates beautiful steam fish out of metal.
Yes. You've told us about him before, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, he's got an Etsy shop which does very well for me, apparently. And there's quite a few people locally who make jewellery and do very well out of that. And there was that gentleman I met. Do you remember when I was up in Sunderland?
Yes, with the sea glass.
Sea glass, exactly. And makes beautiful jewellery out of that. And I think he sells on Etsy as well. So
before you go on, just draw breath. This feeds in very much the thing I've been telling you for ages, that people still buy beautiful things when they won't pay you and me.
Well, I won't have you making sweeping generalisations.
People are out buying lovely stuff because
Yes,
it makes their life better.
Yes,
makes their personal lives better, and it appeases their savage breast.
It's an elastoplast, yes.
Yes, it is.
An easily purchasable elastoplast.
Yes, it makes you feel good for a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, I think one of his fish on your wall might make you feel good every day.
They are lovely, aren't they? They're really nice, and I like the sort of vaguely steampunk look of them.
I don't really know what steampunk means.
It's like Victorian stuff set in the future. So it's like, imagine if we went straight from the Victorian age to the future. So it's a mixture of futuristic and yet Gothic and yet Victorian.
No wonder you like it.
Yeah, well, it's
futuristic and Gothic are two words that would be a big turn off for me if you told me that before I looked at the pictures of the fish.
Yeah, well, it's very nice, and I like it a lot. But the point is, I suddenly had this brainwave merch, Stoupa Life merch, and I thought it's not even, unless I get it specially designed, the logo, which is just #Stoupa Life. I'm going to have. There's nothing unique or anything about it, but I thought the people who are in the group and who love Stoupa enough might be interested in a mug or a towel or a tote bag or a T-shirt with a logo on it or with pictures. So I've now got to go and hook out my proper camera again and start taking pictures, because all the ones I already have, which have been taken by my phone, have either been whisked off into who knows where in Google photograph land, or they've turned themselves, they've got onto Facebook and they've turned themselves into things that aren't good enough to make prints and things. So I've had quite a week trying to hunt down my favourite photographs, and none of them seem to be good enough to make prints out of, although they do seem to be good enough to make mugs out of, which is good. Because I thought, what I'll do is I'll just spend the week getting up a very simple range of merch, and I will see if anyone buys anything. And if they do, then I'll start to pay it some more attention, because what a lovely thing it would be to make a little bit of an income from something. Passive. Well, you're largely passive, yes, because what you need to do is you can sell directly from Etsy, but if you want to use print-on-demand stuff, you need to find a print-on-demand supplier, and they also fulfill, by the way, so they send to the customer. And I found if you just want to do T-shirts, there's teespring.com, and now what's the other one? tmill.com as well. So there's Teespring and Tmill, and if you want to do a full range of goods, you need to go to someone like Printful, printful.com.
Can I just ask about the T ones? Are they TWE Spring and TWE Mill, or just the T?
TWE.
Okay.
So what happens with Printful is you go into Printful and you hook it up to an Etsy, Shopify or WooCommerce store, but I chose Etsy just because I wanted to be in amongst the arty people. And Shopify I've used in the past, and it was a little bit too overkill for me. So they've got a really nice video that shows you how to do it. And once you've hooked up your Etsy account and your Printful account, both of which are free to start, by the way, you then go and create your products in Printful and you publish them to Etsy. And then thereafter you can edit them in Etsy. You can edit the descriptions and things like that. And it's very easy because they've got default shipping options and they've got default size options. So you just, if you're not sure of an option, you just leave it blank and use the default. And very quickly, within a day, I had a small range of products up for sale on an Etsy shop. Now, the point of doing an Etsy shop in front is because you can also then sell your own stuff. So say, for example, you're making paintings or jewellery or whatever, as well as your range of merch, you could have, your own stuff for sale as well. So that was that. And then I thought, okay, so I'm going to just gently mention it occasionally in Stoupa Life, because we do have Small Business Saturday and Small Business Sunday. And I let other people advertise their businesses there. And so I'll just see what happens. And if, there's a huge diaspora of Greek people around the world, and a lot of them came from this, Kalamata, Stoupa, Kardamili, the surrounding areas, and I thought that might make nice Christmas presents for people, for mugs with pictures of Stoupa on. Indeed, especially for the returners who love it and come again and come again. Yeah, and come again. Exactly. Yes, and I thought it might be quite fun to get them to send in pictures of their. I was just going to tell you that, because my equivalent on my island, St Martin. St Martin is half Dutch, half French. Yeah. There's a clothing shop there that doesn't ship internationally, disappointingly, but their logo is One Life,
One love, one life, one island, which is the point of the two sides together, as it were. And it says St. Martin FWI, which means French West Indies. And on their Facebook page, they have people wearing their beautiful T-shirts, onesies, not onesies, like jumpsuits, not onesies, T-shirts, hoodies, handbags, everything. They've got a beautiful shop in French St. Martin. And they've got photographs of people wearing this all over the world. And I think that is very compelling.
It is, and it's one of the things I often say when I speak for people like, you know, who've got Amazon stores, and they're quite introverted, these people, generally speaking. So they say, I don't want to make a story about myself. I said, okay, so you make a story about your customers,
about the product,
and wearing the product, and you send them once a month. You have a little competition where someone can win something if they upload a photograph of them wearing your merch. And they tag you with your tag, and you can just search once a month and see who's done what, and you can send a nice present to someone, and feature them on your Instagram and your Facebook and your Twitter and all that stuff. Yeah. And that will encourage more people to do it because they might win a little prize. And I thought that's just such a simple marketing strategy. And the other thing I was thinking of doing was encouraging people to share their best pictures of Stoupa.
Yes.
And to hashtag Stoupa Life on them.
Yes.
In the description, and then once a month I'll go and pick out the most interesting or best picture of Stoupa. And
I've just sent you a little link to the Facebook page of my St. Martin T-shirt equivalent.
Yeah,
you can see their product range, and because it isn't print on demand, the quality, it's much more expensive, and the quality is as you'd expect if you were buying this sort of thing in France, if you know what I mean. But it just the images, you know, I'm not even a particular fan of a photograph, but these things on babies' heads, you know, the usage is just inspiring of what you can do. It's somebody by the Brooklyn Bridge on a bicycle wearing one, you know. It's something that we started with our books. Do you remember when I did it and then Sally did it? People opening your book on holiday and sending a picture of themselves in Australia reading it and that sort of thing. Yeah. Lovely. Yeah.
Nice, and you know, it may take off, it may not, but you know, the rate at which the group is growing.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to highlight this for people who think that they haven't got a creative bone in their body.
Yes.
I certainly don't have anything. I can take a good picture sometimes, but you can be an influencer or a brand, or if you've got a really, really active group on Facebook. You could, even if you know you can't immediately think, you might think that some of them might want to wear a T-shirt, or some of them might want to.
I think you were, although you just said what you've said about yourself rather self-deprecatingly, you picked a nice font for this.
Yeah, there's two fonts. There's the first one is the.
I've only seen the one that you see before you have to give your email address. But I thought, I can see Nicola's eye in there, which is because you would have picked that, wouldn't you?
Yes, I did pick it. Mm. It's not the font I really want. So my next job is to set up a limited edition 2019 font range, which I was able to do on T, whatever it's called first.
Spring or Mill?
T-Mill.
Okay.
They've got a rather nice Greek font, which
that's a good idea.
Yes. So I thought every year I could do a limited edition range with a different font on. And I've just got to find. Well, basically, I've made it in Pixlr. So I could have done. I've upgraded to Canva Pro to start with, but then I cannot for the life of me figure how to get a transparent background image off of Canva Pro, sorry. So I then went to Pixlr Editor and created a transparent image there with the right font on it. And so I'm going to upload that now and then start a limited edition 2019 range.
If Stoupa was my place and I went every year like people do, you'd want the limited edition one every year.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
No, you would, and I would, and you'd wear them all the time, and you'd wear them as vests in the winter, and you wouldn't want to give them up when they died because it's your favourite one from 2019. And do you remember what happened in 2019? Oh, it's a brilliant idea. Well done.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping it works, and the only way I'll be able to tell. At the moment, it needs to earn about profit after the costs are taken into account. It needs to earn about $50 a month to cover its costs.
Yeah. And when the punter buys an item, are they affordable or disproportionately expensive? I have a reason for asking, which is my one of my American forum runners who gives away a lot of his time and life and energy and information for free has done the same thing, banged up a merch shop. But he says he thinks the merch is rather expensive.
Well, I think it's obviously a little bit more expensive than it would be if you went to, your local mug shop, for example.
Yeah.
But and who knows whether the shipping is? I mean, it's you can change the shipping if you don't like it. But at the end of the day, if I was buying something that I couldn't get anywhere else, I wouldn't really be.
No, possibly. And I wouldn't want to buy a T-shirt from my local mug shop.
Well, exactly. But if you could only get this thing you want. I mean, I barely look at prices nowadays. I really don't. If I want something, I just buy it. And you've said that many times.
Yeah, I don't want much, that's why. But, if the thing is desirable, you'll pay what it costs mainly, or put it on your list for when you can afford it.
Yeah, and I'm thinking people who buy it for presents when they can't think what else to buy Grandad, and he loves going to Stoupa.
Yeah.
A mug with a picture of Stoupa with the, in the winter, the snowy mountains over the sandy beach when there's no sunbeds on it. Yeah. Might be quite a nice mug to drink out of during the winter months.
Yeah.
When he's counting down the days to his next visit. Because they do.
Yes. I know. And that's your market, is the diehards.
Yeah, absolutely. The raving fans.
Yeah, that can't wait to come back. That's why this house I'm in is full of rag rugs and blue and white bowls.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the funny thing is, wouldn't it be funny if this was the thing that made me the most money?
I always think the best ideas are the simplest. And frankly, if you just lay on the beach while merch was speeding its way around the world, that would be brilliant.
It would be absolutely fantastic, yes. Yeah, good. So that's it, really. So asking the listeners, what do you think you could turn into merch? What do you think you could create a brand around? It could be anything. If you're passionate about guinea pigs, you could have a guinea pig Instagram account and then turn it into do you know Ludwig the naked guinea pig?
Thankfully, no.
Well, there is a Ludwig the naked guinea pig. He's a fur-free guinea pig. He's not the most attractive creature, but his owner loves him, and I suspect there have been more than one Ludwigs, if you know what I mean.
I do.
I think she's constantly breeding a new one, ready to take over.
And they're all bald.
Yeah, they're all bald and hairless. I think it's Ludwig the hairless guinea pig.
Oh, okay.
He's got a massive following on Instagram, and I'm sure there must be a range of merchandise somewhere. I will investigate shortly. So it's all a bit of fun, isn't it? It's back to the guinea pig.
Tell you what's going to be more fun, actually, if you've got the sticking power for it, which is, I can think of lots of people already who I know that listen to this podcast who create stuff, and they'll be thinking that's all very well, Nicola, but how do I shift enough product to live on? Because they might be artists or whatever. That's one. And point two is, to sustain your interest in it enough to shift it in quantities that make a difference in your life. And that wouldn't be difficult given that you love Stoupa and you love marketing.
Right. It's so interesting that you said that, because people will be thinking it's all very well, Nicola, but how am I going to make enough to live on? That's such an interesting leap, isn't it? That whenever I talk to someone who's desperate for cash, and I've talked to 2 or 3 this week, they are not interested in taking any action that won't result in a
No, I don't agree. But let me tell you the difference. This for you at the moment is a hobby on the side.
Yes.
I'm talking about people for whom it's their main living.
Well, are you talking about that?
I'm not saying they don't take action. But actually you don't make much on the percentage of these things if you sell them through these things, as we know from selling books on Amazon, without shifting large quantities. So what I'm interested to see how this develops over the weeks and months is genius follow-up marketing ideas you have that can help people ship in quantity.
Yes. Well, I think you misunderstood what I was meaning. I wasn't having a go at people for not taking action. What I was remarking on was that huge gap between starting something and making enough to live on. And some people who, when you suggest things, they turn them down because they are not going to go from zero to making a living in a short space of time. So they never get started on the thing that might in 1 year or 2 years or 5 years make them a living.
That doesn't mirror my experience with the people I'm talking about, but I hear what you say.
Yeah. Okay, so that's, yes, and if you've got something you do as a hobby on the side, then why not think about it as something that could replace your income in the future?
I think that way round's perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
However, it still needs marketing, and that's not a hard thing for you because you're doubly passionate about Stoupa and marketing.
Yes, and I'm going to keep the marketing for this really simple because I'm getting 100 people a month joining Stoupa Life group, and I could have 300 a month if I let in the people who didn't answer the questions about being nice to everyone. So, because I've got this sort of little gateway thing, you've got to promise to be
Yes.
nice and not be sarcastic and all that stuff.
Yes.
Then most people don't answer those questions and go away again. So I only let in the ones who are willing to answer it. So
that's interesting. I mean, I might let in all comers and then just ban them the minute they didn't.
I have been considering that because I might be cutting off my nose to spite.
Well, you might be, yeah. And I don't find it's difficult to ban people when they've misbehaved, especially if they've seen the notice.
Yes.
I quite enjoy it, actually. It's me being a bit stricty pants. Yeah,
it's school prefect kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, the issue is that people invite other people who don't know anything about it, and they think they'll like it, and they invite all their friends. Then their friends think, "Why am I getting all this stuff from this group all of a sudden?"
Well, then they should see the pinned message at the top, which reminds them when they come in.
Yeah, good. That's the point. Okay, I'll think about that because
and
now I've got a vested interest in how many members I've got. I might change my policy.
I think the main thing is that most people are nice.
They are generally, yes.
And the percentage that aren't must suffer the consequences.
Yes, that's very true. Okay, so what is your word of the week then?
It's precipitation. Do you know what that means?
Yes, it means things falling out of the sky, doesn't it?
It's an American word for rain, yeah. It's a beautiful sunny day today, but given how much rain we've had in the last fortnight, I thought it'd be funny for me to find a new word meaning rain every week until it actually stops.
Okay. Well, we were lying under a sunbed the other night in the sunshine, and it was raining.
Yeah.
Because there was a thundercloud over the top of us.
It's not a bad thing. It's, the planet needs rain, and Greece will need rain more than anywhere in the summer. Yeah, so it's not the end of the world, is it?
No, every afternoon at 4:00, a thundercloud comes over the mountains.
Yes.
And sometimes drops a bit of rain on the people on the beach. Yesterday we got out to sea because it was windy as well. And windy generally means a lot of rain.
Yes, it's coming. Yeah. You remember Victor Meldrew?
Yes.
I've been a bit Victor Meldrew in the last couple of weeks because it's like, that can't possibly be rain again, in the middle of the night and things like that.
Perhaps that's driving the wasps in.
I don't know what it was. I think that was a freak, actually, because when I went outside the front door, they weren't there. They're not there this morning. Anyway, let's go back to the wasps.
Okay.
What's your word?
POD, meaning print on demand.
Oh, yes.
Yes, that's what it's called.
I'll let you get away with that. It is called that. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I mean, my hard copy book is POD, which you remember I didn't actually want to create, but people beseeched me and I allowed it. Yeah.
Some of mine are as well, now I think about it. Talking of which, project updates.
Yeah, I'm going to let you go first, and then I've got something really interesting to debate with you on the podcast that you may not want to debate live on the podcast, and I'll let you make that decision when we get there.
Okay. My Audible books have been rejected again, this time because all of the uploads of the chapters and the credits have too many seconds at the beginning. So I gave them 3 or 4 seconds at the beginning and 7 seconds at the end. And it turns out you're only supposed to have 1 second at the beginning. So I've got to re-render them all.
Oh,
and I've got to re-edit and re-render them all. And then still I've got background noise on my opening and closing credits. They're saying it's maybe a air conditioner or a computer fan. And I shut all the doors, and the only 2 things I can think of is that it was a computer fan, in which case I have got a lapel mic so I can stand away from the computer and re-record it and see if that gets through. Or if it's not that, it must be the fridge, so I'll have to perhaps turn the fridge off as well while I'm doing it.
Well, it's very low tech, isn't it?
I'm putting a post-it note on the fridge to remind myself to plug it in.
Can you do one thing as a test and get that approved, and then when you know what you've done that's right, or do you have to do the whole thing every time?
Well, it's, to be honest, the opening credits and closing credits are very short, so it's not an onerous job. It's just the whole, you have to make it as an MP3, then you have to...
You don't want to mention the word render to me, Nicola, after that experience we had last weekend.
Oh, yes.
Right. Do not mention the word render to me.
Okay, I won't. I'll move swiftly on to hear your problem.
Before I discuss this one with you, because my one I wanted to talk about is about podcast logistics, but you're travelling soon, aren't you? Where are you going and when?
No, I'm not going anywhere till mid-September now.
Oh, okay. So you've abandoned Dublin.
No, Dublin's been put back because he's consulted with some yummy mummies and realised that he quite liked them at his conference. And
they've got to wait till the babies go back to school. Yeah. Okay. So mine is, given what you said last week about summer hiatuses for podcasts, and we're coming up to the time where we have to make the decision about will we have August off, I've got a proposal. And I thought it would be authentic to discuss it in front of the listeners, because everybody has to make decisions like this about their business. So August has 5 recording Thursdays and 5 Friday show days. If we take all 5, I'm going to do this slowly because I know you'll get bamboozled.
Yeah.
If we take all 5 Thursdays off from recording, the listeners will only miss 4, because as we go into August, we'll have 1 in hand.
Yep.
And if we double up on our first Thursday back in September and record 2 shows, which will be easy because we won't have spoken to each other for a month, then we'll be back on track instantly, and the listener will still only miss 4 in total, and they'll all be in August. How's that? If you agree in principle, I'll email you the specifics.
Yeah, it sounds okay.
What are you thinking? We shouldn't have any time off at all? Is that what you're thinking?
Well, I don't know. We're doing it with the Right Club as well, and it's causing more work than it's making, to be honest.
It won't with us. It's quite the opposite with us. Because we just don't do it for 5.
Yes.
That's not more work, that's less work, and we have the month off. You had last August off. Why are you unwilling to have this? This is what I think, this is why I want to discuss it, actually, because it's quite, why are you unwilling to have August off?
It doesn't actually make that much difference to my life, not doing one thing a week. It doesn't make much difference. It doesn't make me feel like I'm on holiday. It just makes me feel like I'm not doing things I'm supposed to be doing. It makes me feel uneasy rather than resting.
Yeah, and you don't think it's good for the listener to have a little rest once a year?
Either they listen or they don't. It's no.
Well, they were very keen to have us back last year, and that was quite
Judith,
encouraging.
I don't feel very strongly about it one way or another. So
right, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I will email you the specifics of that, and with dates and diaries and everything. And I think that's what we'll go for, unless we've got 6 weeks to change our minds. Okay.
Yeah, the only drawback that's just popped into my head is that it will damage us in the listings. But we're not in the listings.
Well, but it didn't. If it damaged last year, we got over it. And the 2 or 3 previous summers, I had stand-ins. If you want stand-ins, I'll organise stand-ins.
Yeah, I think we need to stick to the format. Let's do it. Let's see what happens.
Okay, I'll email you.
Okay, all right.
I mean, I think why this is interesting, and it may you sound as though it's boring, is actually it's a business decision that people have to make about how they're going to handle their holidays. If you have a chip shop, you're shut for 2 weeks.
Yeah, if you go on holiday.
Oh, you've got to have a holiday, Nicola.
I suppose so.
If you work 52 weeks a year in a chip shop, you've got to have 2 weeks off.
Yeah, it's different for me, isn't it? Because I live on holiday.
Well, you sort of do, but you just said actually, sort of total ease makes you uncomfortable. Let's go into that bit, because that's psychology. Now, tell me who or what's impressed. Yeah.
The new series of Killing Eve. It's absolutely brilliant. And the actress who is playing Villanelle is just so good. I could just watch her forever. Her and the girl who plays Eve, they're just such brilliant actresses. Yeah. Mm. They're incredible.
I watched Sandra Oh in, marvellous films, but also about a dozen series of Grey's Anatomy for a decade. She's brilliant. And Villanelle was good. Did you see her in Dr. Foster? She was the younger woman impregnated by the errant husband. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I was watching that again because she was brilliantly evil in that as well.
Yes, she was. Yes. Quite cold, wasn't she?
And did you see her on Graham Norton? Because she's a Liverpudlian that speaks completely differently in real life. Yeah. No. When you see her in real life, she's quite a young woman with a Liverpudlian accent. She's transformed as an actress, which is, of course, what they should be. Now, I've seen the whole season, of course, ages ago because they broadcast in America first. I didn't think it was as good as the first one, to be honest. I was slightly bored.
Oh, well, I'll let you know. I've only seen 3 episodes and I'm not bored at all yet.
Well, it ends well. I'm not going to tell you more than that, but it ends well. But I thought it was slightly boring, the second one. But, I've got a very low and quite demanding boredom threshold, me.
Yeah. Just while we were talking, I was just skimming in to see where we were. We're back into the top 100 of What's Hot of podcasts on iTunes. So
I like to be hot, don't you? Yeah. in that sense.
Yeah, we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We are number 91, but social media marketing is lower than us, and I Love Marketing with Joe Polish, and that is lower than us too. So who's
higher than us? Any Johnny come latelys?
Everyone.
But any new ones? Any new ones we've not heard of taking our place?
No, not really. No. It's Make It British podcast with Kate Hills. I think that's talking about manufacturing, though. It's not marketing at all. It's management rather than anything else. Yeah, no. Watch out for women. The Janet Murray show. No, that's not about anything. But
no, yes, Janet Murray's good. She's the PR lady that everybody rates.
There is she?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's have a look at that. Make sure it's the same one. Love marketing, make money.
I don't know whether that's the right one, but many of my clients have studied with her and all rate her.
Oh, right. Okay. Very good. Okay. What's impressed you then?
Yeah, good one. Funny that you should mention the thing about Brits there, because in my American financial forum, this moment comes when they all go to sleep 5 to 8 hours behind us, and we're all waking up. And then we have to wait until 3 o'clock in the afternoon for the first news bulletin of the day, which is 10 o'clock in the morning their time. And I likened it on the forum to, it's like when the Apollo missions go behind the moon onto the dark side of the moon and come round again and back into communications with Houston. It's like, oh my God. And somebody took me up on it and said, well, why don't we start a breakaway group of Brits? And there's, I don't know, thousands of people in this forum, and there are 9 of us who are Brits. Okay, so we've started this breakaway group, but somebody in it who's very knowledgeable said, let's use Discord, let's use something called Telegram.
Oh, I use Telegram.
Which is secure.
Yeah,
nobody and no one can listen in or read what you're writing on Telegram.
I thought that was the point of WhatsApp.
It is the point of WhatsApp, but I can't use WhatsApp because I don't have a smartphone. Because you've got to have a smartphone to get it onto your iPad. Don't take me there. But the point is, Telegram is used in the financial sector as well. So you can use it.
My Bitcoin alerts on Telegram.
Exactly. Now, going back to Telegram, there's one other point about it. Oh, yes. I think I will start using it for my one-to-ones with clients instead of Facebook Messenger, because about half of my clients don't trust Facebook because there's no privacy, no security. That leads directly to whatever we talk about, showing them adverts about it 10 seconds later. Yeah. Telegram doesn't do that. It's secure. And it is just as easy. You download it and it's familiar looking and you use it straight away and you can put links and GIFs. And I mean, it's brilliant. Discord's great, but it doesn't have the security angle, and I love it.
Well, the Telegram thing, just remind your clients that if they got their iPhone switched on nearby, their iPhone will be listening whether they're on Telegram or not.
Yeah, well, I don't have an iPhone, so they can turn that off. I mean, and actually, I'm going to some meetings soon where I'm going to make them turn the Wi-Fi off.
That would be good.
Throughout the house.
Yes.
And all your gadgets, and then let's go in the garden.
Yes. Just to be really...
Absolutely. Yeah, we can't even go in the car, can we? Because my brother's car's got it in there.
I know. I know what you mean about the dark side of the moon, though, because everything hops up at 3 o'clock with Bitcoin trading as well.
Yeah.
The Americans get up and start.
And it just feels like hours. Feels like your husband's in a tin can going around the moon, and you've just got to hold you together until he comes back around.
Yes, it's really weird, isn't it?
It's awful, actually.
Okay. All right. So next, I've remembered that I've forgotten to tell you about the latest thing in my white labeling thing, but I'll tell you that next week. Okay, and I saw some other initiatives you've got going as well for new podcasts, one about life-changing events and one with some chap that I think you met in Oz. In fact, I'd got down, you and I going in opposite directions. I'm reducing all of my commitments and you're increasing all of yours. No, I'm not. I'm just trying new things. Okay. I'm still as committed. At Clicksleeves Academy, I'm marking time till my new website comes out. Okay. It should be within the next week. So meanwhile you're sort of flirting with, yes, okay. I'm fiddling while Rome burns. Okay. So what are you saying next week you're going to tell us about? Because we've got 6-7 minutes now if you wanted to tell us about the other thing. No, because it'll be patch it in. So all right. That'll be boring. Okay. All right. See you next week then. Yeah. All right. Bye. You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.